This is the Barbados Today afternoon news for Thursday, November 16. Thank you for joining us. I am Marie-Claire Williams. Telecommunications company Digicel says it sees no reason to celebrate a move by the Fair Trading Commission to crack down on 3 local utility companies, including its main competitor Cable & Wireless, which trades here as Flow. But in light of the FTC's plans to issue new and amended standards, Digicel says it is not taking matters related to customer service lightly. Earlier this month, Barbados Today reported that the FTC was preparing to impose new standards and targets on the Barbados Light and Power, Barbados Water Authority and Cable & Wireless effective January 1st, 2018. This could result in fines of up to $100,000 on conviction and $10,000 for every day that breaches occur. Retired Permanent Secretary Lionel Weeks is calling for an expansion of the social partnership to include youth groups and other long-standing non-governmental organizations. Weeks, a former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Youth, was addressing a YMCA discussion last night on the topic on the empowerment of youth.
1993 onwards, we have the social partnership. My critique of that is that it needs to be deepened and widened, and that we need to engage the NGO community in that area. Because if you look at an organization, the YMCA has been around for 135 years, and then you have the Diabetes Association, Heart and Stroke Foundation, and so on and so forth. These are organizations that have tremendous contributions to make. They've already made those contributions, and they are capable of deepening that involvement within the society. And you have to find a way of bringing them into the formal community of decision making.
Just days after Transport Board workers walked off the job to protest outstanding concerns, the state-run entity is being blamed for contributing to recent credit downgrades. The criticism comes from the head of the Association of Private Transport Operators, Maurice Lee. He says the board is a financial letdown and also risks becoming obsolete.
When you look at the cost of keeping the Transport Board as an entity, the Transport Board is one of the players within the Barbados economy that is responsible for all these downgrades that the country has received, because it cost the taxpayers of Barbados over $1 billion over the last 15 or 4 years to keep the Transport Board going. And the question that we must ask is, has the country received value for money?
Meanwhile, Lee says he supports the proposed changes to the Road Traffic Amendment Act. Under the new law, public service vehicle operators will be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing as part of moves to curb reckless behavior on the road.
It has my support if you're doing testing, whether it be alcohol testing, urine testing, blood testing. It has my support because you have seen the amount of fatalities that have taken place on the road, and essentially any attempt to curb that will have our support. I find though that there must be care and wisdom taken in terms of how the law is administered.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Indulge your every craving at this year's Barbados Food and Rum Festival, November 16th to 19th. Thursday, the festival kicks off at Oystons. Friday, the Barbados Concord Experience, 8 chefs, 6 mixologists and the energetic Spice & Company. Saturday, taste the spirits of polo featuring Chef Jason Howard. This would not be Barbados without a beach party. Sunday, enjoy an impressive lineup of Barbadian entertainers at the Hilton for Feet in the Sand. And the weekend would not be complete without the Gourmet Safari Dinner Series at the Cliff, the Crane and the Tides. Remember, November 16th to 19th. Get your tickets at TicketPal box offices today.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. Jamaica's police commissioner has been meeting with the island's top law enforcement officials to discuss rising crime, and they are examining ways to reduce murders and gang violence. There have been nearly 1,400 murders since January this year. That's a 25% increase over last year's figure. Meanwhile, the top cop admits that the 150-year-old constabulary is outdated and needs to be modernized, as it is affecting efforts to fight crime. We get more in this report from TVJ News.
2016 went down in the record books as the bloodiest the country had seen over a 5-year period. There were 1,350 homicides, a 20% increase from the year before, which saw 1,192 murders. It's a few weeks before the end of 2017 and murders are up again, this time by 25%, with 1,386 persons being killed so far this year. This has led some to question the JCF's crime strategy. Police Commissioner George Coelho making this pronouncement Wednesday.
A big part of our problem in crime fighting is the slow pace of modernizing the JCF, as opposed to how quickly criminals make use of newer technologies to commit crimes.
Although the modernization process has been slow in coming, the Commissioner pointed to the use of technology in some areas of the force, like the Police Emergency Communication Center. He revealed that as part of the changes there, the police will no longer log reports or incidents using the station diary, a recording method which was being used for close to 2 centuries.
I'm happy to announce today that within a very short time, this will be a thing of the past as we seek to continue to modernize our operations.
And with the advanced computer network system, mapping technology is also being used.
On the international scene, Zimbabwe's opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai today called on President Robert Mugabe to resign in the interest of the country after the military seized power. But Mugabe insists that he is the country's only legitimate ruler, and sources say he does not appear keen on a mediation by a Catholic priest to allow him a graceful exit after a military coup. A political source says Mugabe has no plans to resign voluntarily ahead of elections, which are scheduled for next year. A takeover by the army signaled the collapse in less than 36 hours of the security and intelligence networks that sustained Mugabe during his 37 years in power. The army appears to want him to go quietly and allow a smooth and bloodless transition to former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa. And finally, media reports in Britain say the country is preparing to transfer over £400 million to Iran as it seeks the release of a jailed Iranian British aid worker. We get more in this Reuters report.
The Telegraph newspaper cites unidentified British sources saying the country will send over £400 million, or $527 million, to seek goodwill. The government has reportedly sought legal advice over whether it can transfer the funds, which it owes as a result of a disputed arms deal in the 1970s. A spokesman for Prime Minister Theresa May says there's no link between the debt and the fate of Iranian-British dual citizen Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe. The project manager with the Thomson Reuters Foundation, a charity organisation that is independent of Reuters News, is serving 5 years in an Iranian jail after she was convicted of plotting to overthrow the country's government, charges she denies. Foreign Minister Boris Johnson met with Zaghari-Ratcliffe's husband this week, telling him, quote, Britain would leave no stone unturned in its bid to free her. Johnson is under scrutiny for the way he's handled the case, with pressure for him to resign over comments he made earlier this month that Zaghari-Ratcliffe had been teaching journalism before her arrest. Her employer and family say she was on holiday. Critics said Johnson's words might prompt Iran to extend her sentence, and he's since apologised in Parliament twice for the remarks.
And I acknowledge that the words I used were open to being misinterpreted, and I apologise.
Johnson now says he will appeal to Iran on humanitarian grounds.
That's news this afternoon. Remember, you can get more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good afternoon.